I never thought I'd become the neighborhood vigilante, but when you live next door to someone like Patricia Winters, you learn to document everything. We all called her Karen behind her back. For 5 years, she ran the Oakage Estates Homeowners Association, turning our peaceful community into her personal fiefdom. Patricia was 62, with a blonde bob so perfect it looked like it was carved out of wood. She treated the HOA rulebook less like a guide and more like a weapon. My real problems with her started when my father moved in with me. He has early-stage Alzheimer's and needed a bit of help after my mom passed. He was still pretty independent, but I helped with his meds and was there when he got confused. The first thing Patricia took issue with was the wheelchair ramp I installed at my front door. It was a medical necessity, but she showed up at my house, clipboard in hand, citing a violation of Section 8, Paragraph 12, unsightly modifications to street-facing facades. I tried to be calm. It's for my father, Patricia. The Americans with Disabilities Act overrides HOA rules. Her face soured like she'd just bitten into a lemon. I am aware of federal law, Mr. Reynolds, she snapped, but there are proper channels. You failed to submit Form 30C for architectural modifications. The board will review this. She practically spat the last word, her glare fixed on my dad, who was just sitting quietly in his favorite chair. I submitted the paperwork that afternoon, but I knew she'd make my life difficult. And she did. Over the next few weeks, she invented a new violation every day. My grass was 1/4 inch tall. The wind chimes on my back porch were making unauthorized noise. My dad actually found it pretty funny. That woman needs a hobby, he'd say, watching her measure the distance between my trash cans and the curb with a literal tape measure. But then things took a very serious turn. I had to have an emergency appendectomy. It was supposed to be a quick overnight hospital stay, but complications kept me there for 3 days. My wonderful neighbor Carol promised to check on Dad, but she could only come in the mornings and evenings. When I finally got home, something was wrong. Dad was agitated, more confused than usual. "Dad, have you been taking your medication?" I asked, looking at his pill organizer. It was still full. "The lady took them," he said, his voice trembling a little. My blood ran cold. "What lady?" "Dad, what lady took your medication?" "The lady with the clipboard," he answered. "She said they weren't approved by the committee." I couldn't breathe. His Alzheimer's medication, his blood pressure pills all gone. In their place was a handwritten note on official HOA letterhead. Unapproved pharmaceuticals confiscated per Section 15 regarding hazardous materials. Board meeting Thursday to discuss violation. My hands were shaking as I called Patricia. Voicemail. I left a message, trying to keep the rage out of my voice. "Patricia, this is James Reynolds. You took prescription medication from my house while I was in the hospital. That is theft and it's elder abuse. Return them now, or I'm calling the police." 20 minutes later, she was at my door, arms crossed, looking completely unbothered. "Mr. Reynolds, there's no need for threats," she said. I was performing a routine inspection after neighbors reported unusual activity. They were concerned about potential drug issues. "Given your father's condition, you entered my home without permission and stole my father's legally prescribed medication," I said, my voice dangerously low. "Where are they?" "They are in safekeeping at my house until the board can verify them," she replied with a dismissive wave. "We have very strict policies against narcotics in the community." That's when I remembered. The small security camera I had installed right above my door after the whole ramp incident. She had no idea it was recording every single word, every smug expression. I decided to play my hand. "Patricia, I am asking you one more time. Return my father's medication. It is essential for his health." She gave me a condescending smile. "Submit the proper paperwork, and we'll consider it after Thursday's board meeting. Oh, and by the way, those solar lights you put in, another violation." She turned to leave, but I knew this was far from over. She had no idea what was coming next. The moment Patricia left, I pulled up the camera footage. There she was, clear as day, walking into my house, rummaging through my medicine cabinet, and smugly pocketing my father's prescriptions. I immediately downloaded the video and called 911. 20 minutes later, two officers were at my door. Detective Martinez watched the footage, her expression growing grim. "Mr. Reynolds," she said, her tone professional but concerned, "this is clear evidence of breaking and entering, theft, and given your father's condition, potential elder abuse. They insisted on visiting Patricia right away. I explained that my father urgently needed his medication and asked if I could come along. After a quick discussion, they agreed, but told me I had to stay in the car. We pulled up to Patricia's immaculate two-story colonial. I felt a strange mix of anger and vindication as I watched from the police car. The officers knocked on her door. I saw Patricia's expression shift from annoyance to pure alarm. She tried to slam the door shut, but Detective Martinez was too quick, blocking it with her foot. They went inside, and my heart pounded in my chest. 15 agonizing minutes later, they emerged. Detective Martinez was holding a clear evidence bag with my father's medication inside. Behind her, Patricia was in handcuffs, her face a mask of disbelief. As they led her to the cruiser, she saw me. Her eyes narrowed. "This is harassment," she shrieked, her voice shaking. "I was protecting the community. You'll hear from my lawyer. The board will have your house for this." The detective put her in the car while her partner walked over to me, handing me the evidence bag. "We found these in her bedroom drawer," he said, showing me not just Dad's medicine, but other items that clearly belonged to our neighbors. "We'll need you at the station to give a statement, but first, take care of your father." I rushed home and gave Dad his long overdue medication. Relief washed over me. By evening, the whole neighborhood was buzzing. My phone blew up with messages. Some neighbors were shocked, while others started sharing their own stories of small items that had gone missing after one of Patricia's inspections. The next week, an emergency HOA meeting was called. Retired Judge Howard, the vice president, was in charge. Patricia's chair at the head of the table was conspicuously empty. Judge Howard didn't mince words. He explained that Patricia was facing multiple criminal charges: breaking and entering, theft, possession of stolen property, and elder abuse. Her lawyer had advised her not to attend. Given the severity of these substantiated allegations, he announced, "The board has voted unanimously to remove Patricia Winters as HOA president, effective immediately. She will also be responsible for all legal fees incurred while representing the HOA in these criminal matters." The room erupted in applause. One by one, neighbors stood up, recounting their own experiences with her. War medals, engagement rings, family heirlooms, all of which had been recovered from her house, were returned to their rightful owners. 3 days later, I was pulling into my driveway when a black luxury SUV screeched to a halt beside me. A disheveled Patricia stormed out, waving a stack of papers. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she hissed. "I'm facing 7 counts of theft and 1 count of elder abuse. My real estate license is suspended. My husband is talking about divorce. I could go to prison for 5 years and face thousands in fines." I stayed calm. "You broke into my home and stole medication my father needs to live. What did you expect would happen?" Her rage suddenly evaporated when she noticed our neighbors starting to watch from their windows. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. "The board is suing me for $27,000 in legal fees," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Everything I've worked for. It's gone." Then, without another word, she got back in her car and drove away, leaving her papers fluttering on the ground. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.